an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
You are listening to James O'Brien on LBC. Still no clearer on what the Labour Party's official policy will be with regard to the mooted bombing campaign in Syria, but there is an inexorable sense, isn't there, a growing sense of inevitability about this bombing campaign, something that will, I suspect, not go down well with the gentleman I'd like to introduce you to now. Jürgen Todenhöfer was among the very first Western journalists to spend time with ISIS. This was about this time last year, and it puts him in an almost unique position. Out of all the people we talk to, the ones that are hardest to find are people who've actually had conversations with, quote, the enemy, end quote, and may be able to provide some insights into how the enemy would respond to enhanced bombing campaigns, British involvement in bombing campaigns. And Jürgen joins us on the line now. I suppose we should start with the most obvious question of all, which is what would ISIS do? How would ISIS greet more Western bombs falling on Raqqa and places like that, Jürgen?
ISIS will not do many things in Raqqa because most of the ISIS fighters have left Raqqa. There were between 15,000 or 20,000 IS fighters. Now we have only 2,000 fighters. The rest has gone to Mosul or to Deir ez-Zor. So if you are bombarding now Raqqa, we can hit hospitals and factories and things like that. The terrorists have left, most of them.
Mosul's population is about 1.5 million, so very easy to hide in cities like this.
Oh, very easy. You know, in Mosul, nobody knows the exact figures, but maybe 15,000 terrorists live in Mosul, in maybe 5,000 apartments among the population, and in more family apartments. So it's almost impossible to hit them. And even we know these videos where they march in convoys and in like an army, but these are videos. These fighters try to be alone, or there are 2 or 3 fighters. And we were taken as a target 3 times when I was in Mosul, and within seconds the IS commander disappeared among the people, among the population. So it's very difficult to hit an IS fighter with an airplane. It doesn't work. That's not the real strategy, and it didn't work in Afghanistan. You know, we've bombarded Afghanistan for 14 years, and the Taliban now are stronger than they have been 14 years ago. They control more territory than before, so it doesn't work.
Would it be irresponsible to suggest then that the Islamic State fighters would welcome more Western bombs falling on these territories?
I think they would prefer ground troops. They love ground troops. It's horrible, but if they kill your citizens, if they kill Americans, if they kill innocent NGOs, one of the reasons is to spread fear among the enemies, but the other reason is to provoke UK and to provoke the United States to send ground troops, because up to now they have been always killing Muslims. Most of their victims are Muslims, and they want to fight against the champions. And it's completely crazy, but they are looking for enemies. Now they attack, or they kill Chinese people, and they have killed Japanese people. They don't care if the whole world is fighting against them. They think that they are in a final battle in this world between good and evil, and they are the good ones, of course, and we are the bad ones.
And that is the message that they are using incredibly and increasingly enhanced technology and techniques to spread around the world. The alternative, though, to be really simplistic about things, would be to do nothing. And you wouldn't endorse that notion, surely?
No. IS is too dangerous to do nothing. That's the most dangerous terror group I think that history has seen. And I knew the FLN in Algeria. I met Al-Qaeda, Taliban, and all these guys. IS is much more dangerous, but there are more intelligent strategies than bombarding. And I must add something. When we started to bombard, to make our wars on terrorists, we had some hundreds of international terrorists in the caves of the Hindu Kush. Now we have 100,000. So it's counterproductive. Because if we kill a child or a citizen, instead of this child, 10 new terrorists are starting to fight. We are terror breeding. That's a terror breeding program. We are creating terrorism by killing, for example, in Raqqa, by killing children. These photos of these children are shown all over the Arab world. But the alternative is, first, we should stop the delivery of weapons from one of the sponsors of terrorism, Saudi Arabia, to rebels which are affiliated with Al-Qaeda in Syria. We should stop that, and the Americans can stop that. And we can and we should close the Turkish border so that no longer 100 or 200 new fighters every day can join the Islamic State. And this third point is probably the most difficult but the most important. IS can only exist because it has an alliance with groups in the Iraqi and especially in the Iraqi population which are excluded completely from the political process, the Sunnis.
Yes.
That's 1/3 of the population. And if we would be successful in creating a national reconciliation, then the IS would lose the background they need, they would lose the partners, and they would be like a fish without water. These are strategies they should use.
These are the alternatives. So doing nothing isn't the other option, no, if you will. I did you a vague disservice, I think, Jürgen. I described you as one of the first Western journalists to spend time with ISIL. You were, in fact, the first Western journalist to enjoy extensive access to them. Our Prime Minister yesterday described his vision of the aftermath, the chapter 2 after the bombing campaign has been completed, after places like Raqqa, albeit that you've told us many of the ISIS fighters will have fled there already. He suggested there are 70,000 so-called moderates under the umbrella of the Free Syrian Army who would be able to restore or impose order upon the territories vacated by Islamic State fighters. Can you just give me a brief response to that claim from David Cameron?
He knows the situation in Syria, and that's a problem because all our Western politicians avoided to go to Syria during the last 5 years. I've been 7 times. The Free Syrian Army doesn't play any role in this battle. They played a very important role at the beginning, but now it's nothing. They appear to get weapons from the Americans and from the Western countries and ammunition. And usually, that's what IS told me, usually they sell the ammunition to IS. So don't count on the Free Syrian Army. The only chance we have maybe is beside the opposition in exile, which is not strong in Syria, but which is important nevertheless, are local rebels, which now have an alliance with Al-Qaeda. But if we could stop this alliance with Al-Qaeda, then we would have partners. But all these partners don't want democracy. They want an Islamic State. And this makes everything so complicated.
Jürgen Todenhöfer, many thanks indeed for a fairly bleak analysis, but one which, very rare in the current context, is built upon contact with and experience of the precise people that the rest of us are just talking about instead of talking to.